Hey guys, it's Epic here, and it's no surprise that I give Gearbox a lot of slack for all of the new content they bring into the game, but you know me guys, I just like to be honest, and honest is what I'm going to be today because we are reviewing their newest DLC, DLC 2, Guns, Love and Tentacles, The Marriage of Wainwright and Hammerlock. Before we begin, here is your formal spoiler warning. Don't comment on the video that I spoiled it for you because this is your spoiler warning, so I'm letting you know there will be spoilers, and without a doubt, let's get into it. So the storyline for DLC 2 is of course at the end of Borderlands 3, Wainwright did propose to Hammerlock, so in this DLC we are going to go to their wedding. Simple enough, right? Well, of course this is Borderlands and you know it's not going to be that simple. We need a wedding planner, and who better to plan the wedding than Gage? Gage is back from Borderlands 2 because fan service, I guess. You're not going to find me arguing here. She definitely felt good in the DLC. Usually when Gearbox bring back old characters, they usually screw it up somehow. Maya. But they definitely did not do this with Gage. She was great, absolutely great. It's such a treat to see her back, and I really enjoyed her in the DLC. You're not going to find any complaints here. She's also back with her Robo BFF Death Trap, who played again a pretty solid part in the DLC. I was never sick of Death Trap. You know, it was kind of funny in some parts. Really enjoyed it. Let's talk about the antagonists though, because I think antagonists are important, and a lot of people didn't like the ones in the main story of Borderlands 3, and I definitely think in DLC 1 Pretty Boy was... I don't know, I didn't... Okay, he didn't take to me, put it that way. I didn't enjoy Pretty Boy in DLC 1. I'm gonna be honest here, I think Eleanor is on the same level as Tyreen Calypso. Yeah. And that's sad to say, and I'm going to explain why. Usually, a DLC antagonist should be under par to the main story antagonist, and that's exactly why Pretty Boy felt the way he did in DLC 1. It's also the reason why Captain Scarlet, or General Knox, or Dr. Ned, like these sort of bosses felt the way they did because they were DLC bosses, they were add-on bosses, they weren't supposed to feel like the next Handsome Jack. So it's disappointing to me that Tyreen feels the same way Eleanor does, you know? They're just kind of, yeah, I guess you're a good antagonist, but it's just kind of lackluster, you know? But we're not talking about Tyreen here, so let's forget that discussion. If you want to know the short answer, TLDR, yes, Eleanor is a decent antagonist, and I enjoyed her as an antagonist. She did feel quite threatening, so yeah. I will say that there were a bunch of times in the DLC where instead of having some kind of cool feature with her, doing some crazy shit, it was more like, hey, here's more bad guys, you can fight them because I can do that, and that was what Tyreen did. Honestly, it does feel like a copy and paste of that boss here, but again, I'm not gonna, you're not gonna hear any complaints here. It's whatever, you know. I never thought there was a problem with it. I think we should talk about the environments now. I think we've gone on about characters and stuff long enough. Let's talk about the environments. This DLC looks absolutely terribly amazing. Like, this DLC is insane. See, I baited you out there. You like the way I baited you out? I can't tell you just how breathtaking it is to look around this DLC. There were times when I was recording videos and I genuinely, I swear to you, I had to stop and go into photo mode and take a picture, and I'll put some on screen here. This DLC is just, it's breathtaking. There's even parts of like Heart's Desire that to me look like they are Doom inspired, and you're not going to hear any complaints here. If you want to take inspiration from Doom, then I'm all for it. It looks cool, and if you didn't, then props to you, it looks cool. And this can be said for pretty much everything in the DLC. Like, it's really crazy to me how they nailed it. Like, this is very Lovecraft themed, very Lovecraft inspired, and that shows because the DLC just looks insanely good. Now let's talk about guns. Guns are very, very important. I definitely think that in Handsome Jackpot we did get some good guns. I also definitely think in Handsome Jackpot we got some very, 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 very lackluster guns. Epic, epic, epic. How are the guns in DLC 2? The guns are that good that they're in my build. And you'll know they're in my build when you see that build video come out, which I'm still working on it. Give me time. Please, children, I am working on it. Just give me time. Every gun in this DLC feels unique. Every gun in this DLC feels like it should be there. Every gun in this DLC has an amazing gimmick. Every item in this DLC has an amazing gimmick. Just every new piece of gear is awesome. Now let's talk about bosses, because bosses are very hard to nail. You don't nail the boss and you don't nail the feel, and with a Lovecraft themed DLC it's definitely important to nail the feel. I would go on record and say that this DLC is Gearbox's attempt at Hammerlock's Hunt, Big Game Hunt 2, you know, this is their attempt, and I think they captured it perfectly. Every boss you go up against surprisingly has really cool mechanics. There's one boss that will have an immunity phase and I'm like, oh god, I hate immunity phases, but wait, he's summoning floating platforms and I have to get on them platforms to fight him, and it caught me off guard. Wendigo is one of the coolest fucking bosses I have ever fought, but surprisingly you can't fight an invincible version. Like, why not? Why is this not a thing? I would happily pay 100 iridium every time to fight this beast. It's super cool. The final boss is underwhelming. It's very underwhelming. I barely ever go back and fight it. It could have been done better. They didn't do it better. I think they ran out of ideas by the end. No biggie. Yeah, it's not a terrible fight, but it's not a fight that I want to revisit. It's kind of like Troy Calypso, if I'm being honest. And oh baby, I've been asking for it for a long time now. We actually finally somehowly got a raid boss. That's right, we got a classic raid boss from the previous Borderlands games. I don't mean it's a boss from them games, but in the style of them games, you know, and his name is Eyster the Invincible. I take that in quotations because he's not really invincible at all. If you haven't seen my video on Eyster the Invincible already, you can check it out in the description below, but TLDR, he's not very good, pretty disappointing, and that's a big minus point for me with this DLC. I will say beforehand, huge potential for this boss, but that potential just right now hasn't been utilized. The boss feels like I could slap him around 3 times, chuck him against the wall, and he would explode and give me 3 greens, a white, a blue, and disappointment, okay? It's not, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yes, at the end of the fight you do get access to an armory where there's like 2 chests. It's definitely not an armory by any means. I definitely think again the potential is there, and Gearbox need to buff the living hell out of this boss, and if they do, it could be one of the greatest raid bosses we've had. And it's a Viking, it's like a cool ass Viking, but right now that boss is sadly very underwhelming, and that's the truth. But with a raid boss, cool ass bosses, pretty good DLC, you know, nice plot twists here and there, good gear, and I can't help but say it, this is my new favourite DLC. I'm sorry, I know I'm going to upset some people with this, but I think it's better than Dragon's Keep. Admittedly, this DLC does drag on around the midpoint. I would say it's kind of a snooze fest around the midpoint. Maybe I played too much of it and that's why, but it's just what I got from the DLC. They kind of lost me around the halfway point. I will say that they did get me again by the end, but yeah, I'm being honest, I do think it drags on around the middle, but if I'm being honest with you guys again, I thought Dragon's Keep dragged on a bit, so I really think this could be one of the best DLCs. Only reason I say this is because with Seraph weapons and the Ancient Dragons, let's face it, like, how can you top Dragon's Keep? But I mean, there's potential here to do it, don't get me wrong, there's potential to do it. There's also like these hidden symbols around which I don't understand what they do, and oh my god, this DLC has kept me playing since I first played it, and that's really good. That's a huge thumbs up. You're getting my sub. So all in all, that is my review for DLC 2. You're not gonna hear me bashing it, and you're not gonna hear me smashing it. I thought it was really good. I'm still playing, I'm still making content on it, and that's that. You happy now, guys? I said something positive about Gearbox. They got it right. They got the DLC right. Are you happy happy now? Can I just get on with my life? And on that note, that is the end of this video. You can start clapping now, guys. There you go. Epic said something good about the DLC. There you go. With that being said, you guys, that does it for this video. Thank you for your support. As always, you know, it means the world to me. You know what happens next? Have a nice day.